A heartily welcome to Stoko's fifth roundtable discussion session, season 2021. I am Dr. Aline Nassar, CEO and board chairman of Stoko's Australia. Virtual communication has become the trend. This is the mode we have switched to globally. Potent communication and effective understanding. How is it done? Who achieves that? Cosette Kamar, our keynote speaker, will be tackling this over the coming hour. Cosette, a woman of many talents, is a TV and media personality, a public speaker, and an academic instructor at many public and private universities, I think 4 or 5. Throughout her career, Cosette was appointed to lead the alumni of the Faculty of Engineering. In addition to that, she was handling the Media and Communication Bureau of the Holy Spirit University in Lebanon. She founded and managed her own event planning boutique, where she organized royal weddings, professional events, as well as corporate activities in Lebanon, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Through her event planning boutique, Cosette affiliated with well-known TV channels like Future TV, LBCI, MTV, and Messiah TV in the production and art direction of many events, for which she obtained the Best Event Producer Award, endowed to her in 2010 by the Ministry of Tourism in Lebanon and LBCI TV. In 2020, she was certified by the Higher Educational Development Center to teach work readiness program for graduate students at universities. She also has been the managing director for Directors K-Cut, a media academy dealing with media trainings since 2015. Cosette also designs business suitcases and designer bags, all of which appeared in Saudi Arabian royal fashion shows. Cosette values commitment, authenticity, and excellence. Before we start, I want to invite participants to kindly use the raise hand option for questions, comments, and discussion points throughout the session, of course. We are all eager to dive in, so without further ado, and joined by everyone, I welcome you, Cosette. The e-stage is all yours.
That's amazing. Thank you, Dr. Aline. I'm glad to have you all on board. There are more than, I don't know, around 50, 60 people joining our roundtable, coming from different fields. And I'm so happy for you all taking the time today to join us. Allow me, since our well-being and mental health matter, allow me to check on you. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you're all staying healthy, mentally and physically, actually. And I also hope you're all managing to keep some perspective during these bizarre times. Before we start, I just want to thank you, Dr. Aline, and the whole team behind Stoko's. Believe me, they are just amazing people who have created this community, which I am now part of. Thanks for the amazing opportunity. Thanks for the introduction. And by the way, I just love the passion Dr. Aline has put to building this community. I already told her, and I love the energy she can easily spread. So one thing I am a big believer in is the communication and the power of community. But can you promise to keep a secret? To tell you the truth, I am old school. I don't like online communication. I love face-to-face interaction and engagement. For those who know me, they know that. But believe me, I cannot today but admit how great it is to see so many faces from different parts of the world in this room due to this awesome technology, allowing us to get together and network and keep some sense of community going through these surreal times. Today, we will learn more about potent virtual communication. And by potent, we mean how powerful and impressive virtual communication has become as one of the most popular ways of communication, even years before the pandemic, and it increased with the disease, and it is still growing. With the outbreak of COVID-19, we know that many employers have asked us to work from home. Well, recent articles have focused mainly on how teams can work together efficiently, how can they hold productive meetings, and how can they deliver pitches remotely. The pandemic has already accelerated the digital transformation, but working together virtually is considered actually very challenging due to many factors, such as how to prove that we are really being authentic, reassuring our employees as e-leaders is very hard, and it causes lack of comfort. Building trust is also very challenging because face-to-face helps read body language, tone, pacing, facial expressions. It is harder over video, especially in groups. So engaging with people in person has always been a challenge. Now it's even harder to control it virtually. So the real challenges were on how to keep virtual teams together and maintain good team spirit and healthy communication over the long term, which caused leaders to start wondering about which and what leadership style to adopt when working remotely, which is why new e-leadership communication skills are required, as it is one of the most important factors that influences a business success, be it face-to-face or virtually. We have a poll. I want you all please to take part of this poll. Dr. Aline would launch it. And just to keep the sense of community growing and to help each other's growing the community, I just would like you to share our meeting today over your social media platforms, be it Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, any social media platform. Dr. Aline would share Stoko's platforms, and I would share mine too in the chat box. And then please tag us so we can tag you back. Now we're launching the poll. Please feel free to answer the poll.
Can you all see the results of the poll?
Okay. Dr. Aline, please share your social media platforms so they can all tag us. You can use mine too. So I'm just putting it in the chat. This is mine over LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, any platform you can chat, tag us on your stories. And Stoko's, all right. So is everyone done?
Yes, and I have shared the results. Can you see the results?
Okay, now I can see the results. Yes. So do you work remotely? Yes, and just few said no. Okay, you can be a student. We can consider this using the virtual world too. How would you rate your remote collaboration? Oh my God, as successful as the face-to-face. That's cool, 53%. Less successful than face-to-face, 42%, and just 5% more successful than the face-to-face. That's interesting. Based on your experience, what is the most important measure to take in order to achieve effective virtual communication? I have all of the above, 42%, which is great. Of course, active listening is very important. Driving interaction and engagement, of course, changing the whole approach. This is actually very good. Basically, based on your experience, we had a pretty good percentage for all of the above, because all of the above basically are required in order to achieve effective virtual communication. I will start sharing my PowerPoint. Wish me luck. I am not that familiar with Zoom. I am more into Teams. So can we stop seeing the
we can see your screen.
All right. You can see my screen. This is, I guess, better. Let me just have my presenter view. All right. So, actually, many would argue on that leading a virtual team requires the same leadership communication skills and attributes as leading a traditional team. But is that really the case? No. While the key fundamentals of leadership communication hold true in both cases, virtual leadership scenarios offer unique and significant challenges, because leadership communication has changed significantly in the past few years, mostly post-pandemic. However, leaders need to be ready to deal with these changes and adjust their internal communication strategy. Today, we are going to, on our agenda today, the core values of a great leader in brief, communication habits of great leaders, and things that we have to keep in mind as habits, the unprecedented virtual world, leaders not communicating with remote workers, potent virtual communication skills, and the importance of potent leadership communication norms in 2021, and the secret sauce in order to have a better virtual communication. Today, you're going to help keeping this community growing by, as we said, spreading the message about how powerful is the communication. To start with, I'm a fan of manners and values, because manners and values are actually, for me, the guiding principles in our lives. Values are based on the application of leadership communication, which is learned, developed, sometimes practiced within a set of core values, and we all know that as leaders. In fact, leadership core values are the keys to good work ethics and a great deal of communication skills. Definitely, the list for core leadership values is endless, but most importantly, it includes respect, integrity, authenticity, courage, service, humility, and wisdom. Bottom line, a great leader must have the ability to change the attitude or the behavior of others, and this can only happen within potent and effective communication skills in both the virtual and the face-to-face workplace. Great leaders develop their communication skills early in their careers, but they also create and maintain personal habits that help them communicate more effectively, and that make them stand beyond others. Some of these habits englobe active listening. As a leader, active listening is a great habit that can transform the way leaders communicate, because active listening helps building in multiple checkpoints during the conversation to make sure that we are both on the right path. A great communicator presence starts with being present. When I say being present, this means that leaders uses their voice, body language, posture, and constantly communicate messages, which is basically not easy nowadays via the virtual and with the remote workers. Staying engaged by making eye contact, and making eye contact is based also a casual manner that distinguish a good communicator from everyone else. Leaders, by necessity, they have to interact effortlessly with others. We need to be, one of the good habits is to communicate without being judgmental. Being emotionally neutral and abstaining from prejudgment are two very important notions to follow as a leader. And by actively hearing out employees and making objective suggestions, we allow our team to feel more comfortable. The best leaders are always interested in other people, and they show interest. So if you think about all the good communication skills that people usually talk about, just like listening, making eye contact, asking frequent questions, they are all things that you do naturally if you are sincerely interested in the person you are talking to. So a great communicator can find something interesting in the other party that keeps him genuinely engaged. We need to tailor our messages in such a way that even when speaking to 100 people at a time, they can make everyone feel they are talking to them individually. So it's a great way of building rapport with each of the employees, despite the inability to interact with them directly. This is especially fundamental when working remotely and virtually. And we are going to see in details how rapport is a very important part of the virtual and the remote work. Being able to delegate and clearly delegate makes a leader a great at communicating. I believe if you can clearly communicate what you expect from your team, they are able to do a better job because they know what you want. So do not assume that the team knows what you want unless you've already stated it clearly. A phenomenal communicator brings energy and enthusiasm into the room when they speak. Being positive can extremely be influential. I remember, let me just between brackets, I remember the first time I spoke with Dr. Alian, I was in a phase where even me, for those who know me, I am always positive. I am at a stage where I was hopeless on everything. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to go out of from my room. I used to do my job just because I had to. I teach online and it's very tiring, especially with the connection in Lebanon. So you have to repeat and keep repeating over and over things that you've put effort into preparing, and then it becomes boring. So I remember the first time I talked to her, it was over a phone call or a video call, I guess. The energy and the vibes she sent through this video were the ones who kept me motivated to do this meeting today and this roundtable. Because if I was in the same state of mind, I wouldn't be able to do it today. So being positive can extremely be influential. One more thing, and last thing, helping others communicate better by having the habit of listening first and creating times where people from all levels feel encouraged to speak up and contribute. Because basically a great meeting is one in which the leader doesn't have to give directions, but rather facilitates an environment and gets others to basically communicate. So we know that the global pandemic has put pressure on workforces in more ways than ever before. Economic uncertainty has left leaders questioning whether their old methods for communicating and managing modern teams still work in the pandemic. These unpredictable circumstances make it imperative for management to adopt what we call the new norm, which is flexible leadership as the new trend and the new norm. And being an e-leader requires the ability to diverge from your natural communication and leadership style to fit the demands of a diverse team members. A versatile leader is a great communicator who is open to new ideas, inclusive of perspectives different than their own, non-defensive, and have healthy relationships with each member of their team. They work hard to better communicate with their team. Why? What's the importance of adopting flexible leadership practices? This becomes increasingly evident because initial lockdown measures forced organizations and companies to allow their teams to work from home. But the flexibility of remote work has become a high priority for employees everywhere. In fact, some surveys show that close to 98% of employees would want to work remotely, at least partially, for the rest of their career. And to that, the fact that employees lives now in a completely different way from their lives before, whether they are taking care of sick people, struggling with illness themselves, homeschooling, as a working parent, or working from home in a situation which is less than ideal. So to be flexible is vital during these sudden changes. I would like to ask you one question. If you can in the chat, just put 2 words. Do you have any idea how many kids do your employee or your colleagues have altogether? I just want yes or no, but don't cheat. If it's a yes, I might ask you about the number. Yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, 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 yes. Okay. So why am I asking such question? What do you think? Who's going to raise his or her hand and tell us why? Why did I ask such question? What's the relation of knowing how many kids do your employees or employer have
Hi.
with all this? Go ahead.
Hi, Roger.
Well, I guess, hi everyone. I guess it's because we can never tell what's happening at home, I guess, no?
Mm-hmm. Possibly. I need
The number
more.
of kids, how you would interact during the session and how much focus you can have during your session as well. So imagine now you having a couple of kids running around you.
Okay, I can't imagine. Thank God they're grown up, and I didn't go into this homeschooling. Okay, who else would like to contribute? Why did I ask this specific question? Even though it's
Joya,
funny.
I'm sorry, Joya had a raised hand, but then did you change your mind, Joya?
No, but I was unable to unmute. You may have asked this question because like it happened for me once. We were in an online class, and like we had the children like of our teacher like coming around just to say hello because like they just woke up, and it's more like we should know like how to manage our space while working. If we're working at home, and like a teacher, if you have kids, like he should be able to manage his personal space for work.
Okay, so thank you, Joya. So we already said that some people might be working in circumstances that are not really ideal. So it's not easy having kids around us. They're not used to us working and staying all the day in front of our computer. They don't know that this is something which becomes a priority to keep living. But most importantly, this was actually related to developing personal rapport and relationships. So fostering a personal relationship with your team member will provide the foundation necessary for a healthy and successful professional relationship. Because we all live in tough times, and learning about each other's struggles might help bridge this gap between the employer and the employee. So it is good to know a little bit about our surrounding personal struggles and personal life. In the old leadership style, we weren't that flexible, and we didn't consider this building fostering this interaction and personal rapport important as it is nowadays. So what else? Offer personal and professional support. In these uncertain circumstances, any gesture from a superior can go a long way to motivate a team member and even support sometimes their overall health and well-being. And if you remember, I started checking on you and asking on whether you are good and you're feeling good mentally and physically. We need to ask for feedback because it is critical to being a flexible leader, as it will help you understand how your team and how your colleagues are responding, what works for them, and how to change when it is necessary. Most importantly, to facilitate open communication. Encouraging others to communicate openly, being clear and direct in your expectations to avoid a lot of conflicts down the road. Be sure to adapt your expectations to reflect the changing needs of your team and your business. Sometimes to reward and yes.
I'm sorry, if you allow me, we've had, before we go any further, we've had a very interesting comment that I think you would want to discuss with Sharif Al-Amin. Yes, Sharif Al-Amin, who said that the question you asked regarding the number of kids is for work-life balance. And this is a very important point, and I am certain you would like to discuss it further. So yes. Sharif, if you can kindly unmute.
Yes, hello, Cosette. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Alan. I believe it is about to give the space and to show the flexibility to our team members to have their work-life balance, because if we have a lot of kids, so your flexibility will be more effective with them to secure their balance with their job and their family time. And according to the numbers, you can be more flexible, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Sharif, it's good to see you. All the way from Hilton, Egypt. He is the HR of one of the branches of Hilton, Egypt. Thank you for your contribution. You are absolutely right. And I really appreciate that you mentioned this as an HR, because if you are really appreciating in these times work-life balance and the struggle employees might be facing, this is very, very important and kind. Thank you for mentioning this.
Thank you very much.
So as I was saying, so open communication is related into work-life balance, because when we have open communication, this keeps us engaged and more productive while working from home. So sometimes also we can create an appropriate platform to team members to voice their opinions and engage in constructive dialogues, for example. And as far as I remember, Hilton Hotel all around the world, they have a special platform. It is, I guess, similar to Facebook or something like this, where you can diffuse and post personal stuff not related to work, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, I guess I remember this, and which is happening even before the pandemic. So it's been like 5 years, I guess, they have this platform. And I remember when I was training there, it was very interesting to see that people are sharing their kids, their weekend, and all of their personal. This might build strong relationships and strong rapport, and this might affect productivity of the team.
Yes, sure. We have many platforms regarding the to encourage people to share their family issues, and it's mainly our culture as a Hilton, because a Hilton, we are one family. So we have to demonstrate this culture by having platform, by encourage and give benefits for family and friends. So we are doing this. Yeah.
Yes. Now I have one more question to you, everyone. What do you think is the impact of poor communication in general? Just in 2 words. What do you think would be the impact of poor communication in general, not only at the workplace? Conflict, no results, misunderstandings, demotivation, all right, misunderstanding, yes, what else? What about missed opportunities? What do you think? No evolution. All right. Failure. Yes, failure. No creativity. Definitely. Lack of problem solving. Yes. Misdirection, low satisfaction level, no progress. Yes. Very well. Okay, so lack of communication can lead to low morale also, because ineffective communication can create these all what you named, like misunderstandings, missed opportunities, conflict, no production, mistrust. So research suggests that there are areas in which leaders fail to communicate or engage their remote workers. How? They don't recognize or praise work. And when working face-to-face, an employee is in the same office. So it's easier for leaders to see and recognize a team member's success, like by saying one word, even by assessing their body language, you can see that they are praising. But when we are working virtually, there are few moments to see and praise the good work. So some employees actually, they don't even share the success because they consider it can be seen as bragging about themselves. And sometimes leaders simply aren't aware of what employees are most proud of. and they stay focused on more on what should be done. So simply, this is not enough to keep an employee engaged and performing. Second point, they don't talk to remote workers about career goals and personal growth. Regardless of the remote status, career growth opportunities is the #1 reason employees leave their companies. If companies want to retain their workforces, they must take action. Their employees need to see what is possible to achieve within the company. Leaders should ask frequently their team about career growth and help employees achieve these goals. Growth doesn't happen to mean a typical promotion. It can be just expanded responsibilities, a more challenging assignment. So it's not necessarily all the time a promotion. Some employers also, they don't provide opportunities to connect with coworkers. Human beings need connection, not only to their coworkers, but also to the organization itself. So fully remote workers do not get that opportunity to connect, which can make them sometimes feel, how can I say it, lost or isolated. Leaders need to find ways to connect these employees to their teams and to the company and to the culture of the company. At organizational level, when possible, companies should conduct trainings at their headquarters and include icebreakers activities, which helps build rapport and include them into the culture of the company. Actually, Business Insider reported that 50% of the workforce will work remotely by 2021. And with the COVID-19 pandemic sweeping the globe, this might be becoming the norm. However, methods we're using to motivate our in-house team won't exactly work for our remote team. So we're going into a phase of a transition phase and a change. So as more and more organizations make use of the virtual teams, the need for effective virtual communication skills has become increasingly evident. Actually, it is one thing to organize and implement a virtual team, but ensuring that the team has the communication skills necessary for success is quite another important factor. Many organizations apply their tried and true best practices from traditional in-person work teams without taking into consideration the unique characteristics of the virtual workplace, unfortunately. And I can see Dr. Aline nodding. The challenge now is to create this workplace that function as a high-touch environment where remote employees must communicate well. So communication skills found among successful virtual team members are #1 is being open and honest to communication, because the lack of visual cues in the remote work environment might seem like an obvious point to bring up. Believe me, we often fail to appreciate just how much people communicate through nonverbal signals. While, for example, a confused expression, an uncomfortable shifting in a seat, fidgeting, this can make it clear to everyone that something is going wrong in the face-to-face meeting, but it would be unnoticed in a virtual meeting, especially in group meetings. Also, one more thing, which is very, very critical and important, text messaging. It can also cause messages to be misinterpreted, leading to confusion and frustration and even resentment. It is absolutely vital then that the team members share their concern and thoughts whenever it's possible, because clear communication is going to help build and foster trust, which is key element of all successful virtual team. And let me mention one funny example about text messaging. I have this old friend of mine who's among us today. I'm always on a rush, and I always have things to do. So when I receive this message from this person, and sometimes I feel I have to answer because there might be something going wrong, and because I care for this person, I just answer with one word or just two words. For the other party, this was something very important, and they wanted to discuss it actually. But when I send this roughly one word or two words, or I just say, okay, or just, so this can cause frustration. And the next time I'm going to talk to them, I feel they're frustrated. So messaging and text messaging and email sometimes can not be as clear as the face-to-face communication.
That allow me to support you 110% on this idea, because when we are unclear, so when communication is not potent, in simple words, when it's not clear, it's open for interpretation. You were in a rush.
Yes.
You answered with one or two words to acknowledge receiving their message, but the other party interpreted it probably as you don't care enough, or you've been short with them. So it created unpleasant emotions, and unpleasant emotions create distress, dissatisfaction, open for more interpretation. When you don't, and the same thing happens with employees and leaders, when we don't talk to them and we're not genuinely clear with them, they need to talk, so they end up talking to each other. And this fosters an environment of toxicity because it's open for interpretation. And you know how it's a domino effect. Someone says something, then the other one builds on it, and it creates this whole domino effect. Whilst in the beginning, that the initial ignition came from being unclear or non-potent in our communication as leaders.
Yes, 100%. Even though you didn't mean to be rude or to be non-caring, but you were just on a rush. So yes, it's very important for clearer. It's emotional actually. Also demonstrating respect and consideration in the virtual workplace. One actually is not able to see what co-workers are doing. So it's very easy to forget everyone is wrapped up in their in tasks. In person, in a traditional in-person workplace, it's usually obvious when a question or request would interrupt someone's work. But working virtually requires team members to be more aware of each other's availability and workload. So after all, some members might work in different time zones, making coordination even more difficult. So if remote leaders and employees do not respect their co-workers' time and space, it will be difficult for them to develop trust in one another. And of course, building relationships. Just because we're working remotely doesn't mean that we don't build rapport. In fact, I'm going to insist on the rapport, because one of the biggest challenges with virtual teams is building the social bonds that make everyone feel like they are a part of something special. Because research showed that the lack of interaction with coworkers is a leading reason for dissatisfaction at the job among fully remote workers, resulting, of course, in less productivity and less engagement. Leaders should communicate, as we said, progress on goals. Virtual communication skills are certain to be among the most valuable assets for workers entering this new workforce. By focusing on identifying and developing these skills in team members, leaders, and organizations can embrace the change and position themselves for the success in the future. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear leadership communication? What is leadership communication for you? Any answers?
For me, it's easier than communicating with your kids. So
yes,
that's what I related with, because when we
yes.
communicate with our kids, especially, I would say, especially when they are smaller, because my kids are small, but in your case, smaller, your kids are grown-ups.
Yeah.
You think of every word, and you think of the approach, and you think of how they will interpret it, and how they would think of you saying what you want to tell them. So you do all the math and you rehearse before you talk to them, because you want to be understood and you want the benefit out of this conversation. So as a leader, I see communicating with the team is the same, and a bit easier, because you're communicating with your team about a common goal or a common role or a common task, whilst with your kids, it's about a lot more than that. But it's very similar in the sense, if I, as a leader, consider, and you've mentioned it before, I know who I am talking to. It's very similar to utilizing the leadership styles. There are so many leadership approaches and styles, and they're kind of in a basket next to me. And I pull a leadership style that works for that situation in specific or for that employee in specific. And communication is the same based on their cultural background. So cultural competence is important. So if we think of all of this and we formulate the way we want to address our employees, and it is not generic at all, it's not general. Each employee requires a specific approach, then yeah, I feel it works better, definitely.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Very well said. So it's all about saying the right things in a powerful way, and to help deliver results, be it with your kids, with your employees, with anyone. So this is very important as leaders to have great communication. And for me, I say we are how we communicate even before what we communicate. So we need to build new strategies to ensure collaboration, connect, engage with employees. So to maintain workplace productivity, and most importantly, to protect our employees' safety and well-being during this any time, and especially during these crises and the time of uncertainties.
Cosette,
the COVID-19 crisis.
I'm sorry, we just need to acknowledge all the comments in the chat. Would you like me to go over them, or would you like to go over them yourself?
Yes, I will. Just a second. Say the right a conversationalist. Yes.
Starting Dr. Ainaya.
I'm trying to find. Can you? Okay. Oh yeah, influence.
Let me help you. Yeah.
Influence, of course, influence. And Dr. Aline mentioned this where Mrs. Lisa, a responsible, reasonable, and open-minded person who's talking with us. Absolutely, yes. Professional communication with a clear approach. Thank you, Sharif. A conversationalist. Thank you, Dr. Lisa. This is a great word. Yes. It sums up everything. Say the right thing, encourage others to engage and connect. Yes, thank you, Perla. Approachable and understandable, knows to adapt communication to the people in front of them. Correct, thank you. Empathy and influence. Yes, And of course, leading by example. Thank you, Nariman. Thank you for all your comments. They're all related to leadership a good leadership communication. So the COVID-19 crisis has actually accelerated the modernization of employee communications. Leaders are now realizing that the internal communication are strategic partners in ensuring business continuity. So employee engagement and increased productivity, we must, for these to continue, we must keep an effective communication in the agenda, not only during the crisis, but also in the future. Let me just move to the other slide. We need to keep employees engaged, building an effective internal communication strategy, and aligning our employees with strategic goals, building stronger relationships. What might be the strangest thing you might do while attending a meeting online? Eating, chatting, I don't know, wasting time. Just because the content of the meeting isn't engaging or even not relevant to your job duties, you are not going to be engaged in the meeting online. So making content more engaging is very, very important, because most of the employees don't read and engage with company emails or content meetings that are sent to them with too much information that is not relevant to them. So for this reason, turning to technology solution can enable leaders to create personalized new feeds, ensuring employees stay up to date with the company news and industry trends. So they can find a way where they can sometimes promote their messages via more of visual or short videos that they can circulate among them to deliver the message they want to send easily. And when it's visual, it can be more stuck in their mind. Leaders need to reach every employee and build a collaborative workplace culture. They need to bring everyone to communicate clearly and respectfully in order to accomplish things more efficiently. They have to help the team working together as a unit rather than an individual. For many of us, the biggest barrier to having high quality conversation is that we're afraid to share what we're really thinking and feeling. In fact, being real is scary, but it is the unreal conversation that should scare us, because they're incredibly expensive sometimes. Preventing miscommunication, leaders are responsible for preventing miscommunication in the workplace. In a research, nearly 81% of employees indicated that miscommunication occurred in their organization frequently. To work effectively, employees need accurate information from their leaders. Employees might make mistakes because of lack of information. Remote workers have basic human needs. No matter how much the workplace changes, one thing remains the same. Every employee has human needs that their company basically must meet. And the need of remote workers have great implications for companies today. Working remotely can quite literally sometimes hide signs of unhappiness or even depression in employees. And it probably goes without saying that this year has tested everyone's resilience. Resilience is a critical component in our emotional wellness. Thoughtful and flexible leadership communication with a focus on few key needs can make all the difference to employees' well-being. The secret sauce comes down to how we all use this new platform to inject more humanity into our virtual communication. So to be intentional about all potent communication by leading others. Nothing happened by accident. Nothing happens by accident in the virtual world. You've got to make it happen. You won't see them in the break room getting coffee. Both leaders and virtual teammates should set time aside their calendar every day to create spontaneous moments. This is what brings humanity into the process. It can be just 10 minutes before a meeting. We can do a get-together coffee or a get-together lunch and build this human interaction even on the behind our laptops and our virtual gadgets. We need to be the change when you lead yourself, when you are a team leader. It is critical for you to model every aspect of virtual communication and talk about what you are doing and why with your team. Team members need ways to share thoughts and seek out the thoughts of others through regular formal and sometimes informal connections. Emotional wellness. Get to know team members on a deeper level. Seek to understand everyone on the team through formal and informal interactions. Chat, email, video platform, phone call. You have to learn which channels are most preferred and effective for each team member. Basically, and finally, a daily dose of the secret sauce. These fixes are not technology focused, but rather call upon using today's virtual work technologies to our advantage. Think each day about how you can shrink this virtual distance on your remote team and strengthen relationships, adding in an extra dollop of humanity into every virtual interaction you have across your team is really vital. So with so many means of virtual communication available to us, technology definitely makes our lives easier. Nowadays, the ability to communicating virtually and instantly or sharing our information in seconds is very crucial. Virtual communication is creating a communication environment which is cost-effective, time-saving, even environmental friendly and accessible 24/7. It has evolved in the last few decades, and it is still becoming the most important way of communication in the near future. So a leader's challenge is now to manage their business and train the workforce using effective communication skills to building an autonomous, trustworthy, and committed and interdependent virtual team. Try not to micromanage, trust them. Remote workers have basic human needs too. We should not let the virtual workplace distract us from the fact that on the other side of the call, a human being with needs and emotions is working with us. I will leave the floor for if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you very much. I actually asked support to give everybody the privilege to unmute themselves, and I would like to invite everybody to unmute themselves because I first want to share with you an experience that at Stokos, and then I want to throw a question, and I would like everybody to interact and discuss, and then we will have a group photo and leave. So at Stokos, we operate out of Sydney, Australia. None of the members of Stokos work in Sydney, Australia. We have members in Lebanon, we have members in Adelaide, we have members in Qatar, England, and in Lebanon in 3 different areas. So I'm the only one who's in Sydney, and we work very well together. What we do, and I like the example you used, have an afternoon coffee or a lunch together. A lot of our meetings are when we have to go on an unplanned meeting sometimes, or some of our planned meetings, what we do is we just say if it's a lunchtime, because we operate from different time zones. So when it's breakfast in the UK, it's basically dinner by us and lunch in Lebanon. So everybody brings their meals and we sit around our tables. We eat, of course, decent meals. We have a coffee, we meet, we discuss, we talk. Yesterday, I had a meeting with one of the people who work with Stokos. She was at home and there was no babysitter, and her 4-year-old wanted mama, and she kept on coming back, mama. And then the mom goes like, I'm in a meeting. Then I was like, no problem. She wants to sit in mama's lap. Put her in your lap. She will calm down. You will focus. And we met over an hour and a half with her daughter in her lap, and it was a very productive meeting. So the point behind this is to support what you said. Empathy and understanding who I'm working with and the situation they are in and the surroundings make a lot of difference. Instead of getting myself uncomfortable and people working with Stokos uncomfortable as well, and the meeting is not productive, and this will, time in, time out, create a bit of tension, versus being creative. And I put in the chat, creativity is intelligence having fun. The more creative we are in those meetings, the more fun work is, because I'm relaxed. I'm not tense when I'm connecting to a meeting. What if? A lot of things will happen because we're working from home, or we're working from places that there are other family members around. And it's time for family, like now, by us, it's 9 in the evening. Until half an hour ago, my twin girls were connected with us on this meeting, no video, no voice, because it's time for mommy to be with them, but mommy's busy, so they can see mommy and hear mommy, and they are with mommy, and that works for me and works for them. So this is how we do it. The more creative we are, the more effective and potent our communication and our relationships with the team members. Because if the relationship is not right, communication cannot be right, vice versa. But what's most important is the relationship with the team members. So the question that I want to throw to everybody to discuss with you, Cosette, is would like to invite everybody to give us and something that is unusual, funky, something that they felt is strange, they think of or did or would do to make a virtual meeting more effective, but a creative idea. So let's see who would share with us creative ideas that enhance potent communication. You can all unmute yourselves. You have the privilege to, so please do.
Thank you, Dr. Ainaya. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
How about we start with Lucille?
Mrs. Lisa, thank you. Go ahead. Give us some ideas. I thought about having lunch, having coffee breaks. So give us some more fun ideas.
So we'll start with Lucille, and then Jonathan will follow.
Okay. What about meditation?
Okay,
like start the day.
How?
Like, yeah, just to, well, if you just connect all online and then you just like breathe and like just give those 5 minutes for yourself and your team.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great idea, because meditation is very helpful to release the stress and to feel better. So you're mentioning this just 5 minutes, you mean, or 10 minutes before any meeting or any roundtable?
That's what. So yeah, just like before starting the day, you greet your colleagues, and then you're like, you know what? Let's just take those 5 minutes, all of us as a team, and just like breathe and start the day in a positive note.
Yes,
that's wonderful.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Jonathan, and then we
will take. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Okay, I had a small idea, maybe just before every meeting, just like the meditation thing that Lucille just mentioned. We could, for example, like say something that happened to us earlier in the day that would help us get to know each other better. For example, like the day I woke up, my mom is preparing her meeting upstairs, and I'm downstairs watching the same meeting, just like you said your kids are were doing, Dr. Alian. I'm doing the same thing with my mom today. She's presenting. So
with your
maybe not just family members, but yes. So it's a really nice experience to be able to see my mom from a different perspective. And I think everyone should be able to see each other from a different perspective. So not just like the work perspective, but also the personal perspective.
The personal.
Thank you.
That's a wonderful idea. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jonathan.
Yes,
I
to
just
share.
Sorry, go ahead, Cosette.
To share personal stories just 5 minutes before. So we have now meditation, sharing some personal stories just before the meet. Okay, what?
Yeah, to get to know people. We have Nina Abu Atmi. She suggested playing games. If Nina would like to talk about it, then after would be Joseph.
Go ahead, Nina.
Okay, let's, there's Nina. Yeah.
Maybe she can't unmute.
She can, everybody can. There you go.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Hi, Nina.
Hello, Nina. How are you?
I would like to say that you did a great job, Cosette. I loved
you.
the webinar. It was amazing.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. I just want to mention that playing games is something very important to, like, while communicating with your colleagues or your partners or anyone else. And it changes the mood. Plus, it could be interactive, and it could be about creativity or knowledge about the field you're working in, and it has so many advantages. So playing games and sometimes customizing these games is a great benefit.
The one thing that makes games even more than what you have said, which is awesome, we take work very seriously, and that's not always very helpful. Yes, work is important, and we need to work seriously, but that doesn't negate the fact that fun is required. So why don't we fun work? Instead of having to have the frown and everybody is so formal and serious, that doesn't impact productivity. It doesn't make it any better. On the contrary, if we're enjoying what we do, productivity is higher. So fun, which is game, at the beginning of a meeting, or when we feel that the work environment is a bit shaky, would definitely make it stronger. Joseph, تفضل, please.
So just I need to talk about work remotely and about the experience with pages. As an architect, our traditional role is to creating spaces and how to deal with the psychological part of human beings. So with this crisis today and with this pandemic, our role is more effective today. And as we all know that you can work today wherever you want, on the beach, in the forest, wherever you want. But the issue is how to deal with the environment, how to deal with your colleagues. It's about communication, as Ms. Cosette said. So today our mission is to creating spaces into consideration that we have passing through a pandemic like COVID, to creating happy spaces, happy green spaces. So when you look at these green spaces, you will have this spirit as your calm spirit. You can just prepare yourself before your meeting. So our role today is creating this happiness into maybe houses or wherever is the place you will work in, is to create this happy environment. You will exchange, you will communicate better than before. So every space is a good space if you know how to deal with it, how to change it into your mood, how to recreating this space into a good environment, into a space that you will belong it to this space, and you will deal with your work, your meetings. So it's matter for every one of us. And thank you.
Yes, you are right. Creating a great space in order to be able to feel better and more relaxed in order to, and it's your job to start doing this basically at each home. Yes. Do we still have any contributions?
Yes, Sharif had a comment in the chat. Maybe he wants to talk about it.
Yes, it's about sharing thriving activities. It's not only just work. We can agree on a meeting, in a business meeting, that we are having a day off or a long day off. So we will, the action plan is to thrive. And during the thriving, we will have this virtual communication with the families, and it's all about just more engagement, and in a psychological wise, they will love the platform, they will love the virtual, they will be more engaged by it. So it is my thought. That's it.
Yeah, that's interesting to engage the family and our surrounding too in our remote working. Yes, that's a great idea.
Well, I want to thank everybody who attended today, and thank you for the participants who had other commitments and had to leave earlier. A very big thank you to Cosette. Topic handled excellently and skillfully. Thank you very much.